My name is Joan Severson, and I'm the oldest confirmed member of Peace Church.
So Joan, tell us your story as you remember it.
Well, I guess we started going, we lived at 1022 East 4th Street. That's where my dad and my mother lived. And we started going down, they sent me to Sunday school down there. I think that's how. I don't know. My mother didn't seem to have a big background in a church. I don't know it. My grandma had some crazy church. So started to go to Sunday school there. And then so that just led on and on to my getting married in St. Paul's Evangelical and Reformed Church. In 1950, I married Wally Ostland, and it was really a terrible place to get in and out of. It had gazillion stairs to go up, and I was married in 1950, March 1950. People probably won't remember Don and Kathy Schuler, but Don's mother, Martha Schuler, she made these great big sandwiches for our reception, and I think we had a cake. In fact, I think I kept the top of that cake for ages in my house, but then, of course, it disappeared.
Do you remember who the minister was?
Lowenberg, was it? No, it was Pastor Rashi.
Oh.
Of course, then I had 2 children, and then my baby sister over here, Mary Wergland, she popped in the year I graduated. And so she was just like one of my kids. So we spent a lot of time at Island Lake Cabin, her and some of her friends too. Lots and lots of memories of Island Lake.
Do you have some other memories of the old church that you can share with us?
All I remember is I had to dress at home because there was no place down there to dress. And then going up these big stairs and then they had a big balcony up above inside. It wasn't an easy place, for people to come in. And I have lots of pictures that were taken at my wedding, people that I worked with, and lots of rels. It was quite an experience. And so then I was on the council for the forward movement when we moved up to Peace Church. And my first husband, Wally, he was very active in the church, sang in the choir down there. And lots of times Wally would have to stay home with our children because we didn't have nursery. I think I belonged to the Ruth Circle. Between my kids and maybe Mary has helped me remember some of these things, Also, many couples got together and they called us Come Double.
I read about that.
Yeah. And, it was Don and Kathy and probably Barb and Bill and lots of people. And I don't remember what we did. Got together and I don't recall. And I think it was the Ruth Circle that I belonged to.
Okay.
And I don't remember a whole lot about that.
What the circles did? Like, what did they do?
Well, I think we did a lot of serving at funerals and weddings and just getting together, and I don't know.
Did you have craft fairs? Do I remember some kind of craft fairs?
Oh, I think there was a lot of that going on too. But I'm 91 plus, and sometimes it's kind of hard to remember that.
So Joan, did you say you served on the council?
Yes, I think I was if it goes back, I think I was the first woman secretary, because I had, I worked as a secretary in schools when I graduated. I wasn't even 18 when I started working for the school board, and I worked at Lowell, and I think it was Kenwood School and Jefferson School, which was right in our backyard, practically there. I'm having a hard time recalling. Can I tell you something funny?
Please.
This was at the cabin many moons ago. Reverend Don Schmidt, they loved to come to the cabin. And we had brewing. We had this gigantic chokecherry tree. And so we had this big crock. We were making wine. Don came, I'm sure his wife was there too, but I don't remember. But I think this one was a memory of my daughter, Carol, that, you know, it wasn't a big place. And it was in the bedroom, you know, a big crock. And I think he'd laid his pants over those when he got ready to go in the water. And so that was pretty funny. And then I also worked at the old church. Reverend Schmid, I think he was from Wisconsin. He was an interim, little short guy, and he had this humongous voice. He was just fantastic. I just loved him, and I can't remember what his first name was, but it was Schmidt. And so I worked in the office. So, you know, I did mimeograph bulletins, you know, and programs. I don't know what else. Back in the day, yes. So that was always interesting. And what I remember about that old St. Paul church was sauerkraut suppers, which I detest sauerkraut to this day. I never liked it, and I'm a poor German not liking sauerkraut.
Remember what else they served at those dinners?
I don't remember. I know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't remember. I remember mother-daughter dinners down there with the Paschkes and George Maskey, Don Schuler.
So were the dinners in the lower level of the church?
Well, yes,
Or-
there was no other place.
Yeah.
Downstairs, yes.
So do you have memories of Greg Flint?
Well, he married Wes and I.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did. And I've lost contact with him. I know that Max Pretz kept in contact. I wrote to them for many, many years out in Eugene, and I have no clue whether they're living.
Can I tell you that we interviewed Greg Flint, and he mentioned that
No.
for years he got letters from you.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You know, I did keep in contact with him. In fact, we went out there one time. I think, I don't know, because Wes and I had a camper, you know, a big camper truck. And we did go to a wedding out there, and I'm trying to remember who that was. But then at the same time, we saw where they lived.
Do you remember when Greg started? You know, he talked about being a brand new minister, like he'd never had a church before.
And then, and of course, then he's doing counseling for these two old people that are in their 50s, you know, or how old were we? Because we were married for 33 years. He felt really kind of inadequate doing this interview, and that was kind of comical. But I really liked him. He was is he still living?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was wonderful. That's all all I have written down here.
I was wondering if you have memories of when the new church was built and when, you know, you moved up to the new church.
Oh, I remember that so well. I do. When this guy came, I don't even know who it was. Was it a horse and that they dug? And John High. Do you have any memories of John High? He worked at Fitker's, and he had a voice, was a booming bass voice, and he would sing in the choir. And I know sometimes the choir leader would say, "John, not so loud." He was just a real character. I just remember that about just a little tidbit of something that has probably nothing to do.
You remember Reverend Don Schmidt having, you know, kind of with the plow and the whole thing?
Yes, so long ago. You know, I donated slides to Peace Church of that groundbreaking.
Really?
So they're down in the history department. I remember the funny old brown coat that I had on. Now, how did I remember that? And I'm sure Wally was there. You know, my first husband, Wally, he was an only child, and his folks were Baptists. So he used to go to the Baptist church out in West End, something, I can't remember which one that was. But then they kept bugging this young kid, "Have you been saved?" And so he quit going. So he joined our church. I think he was on the council. I'm not really sure. I'm sure he was.
What are some of the different roles you played in Peace Church over the years? You mentioned council, I know you were just active the whole time, but what kinds of things? Do you remember, like the rummage sale, for instance?
Oh.
and-
I worked the rummage sale. I hated rummage sales. Always did, but I did work at many, many rummage sales. I was in the choir for so long, even at the old church. You know what? That's what I said. Wally had to sometime not, an excuse to stay home. But, because there wasn't really a nursery area down there, I don't think, at that time. So I went to choir. I loved choir. And I started going back to choir. And I was really upset, I have to tell you this, when they start changing, words. I liked the old words, the these and the thous. And when they start changing those, that kind of upset me.
What choir directors do you remember?
How about Trudy? Was she ever a choir director?
Well, yes, she was.
Was she?
She was. And Barbara Hanka,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
she was there. And then early on, Betty Stark.
and did you sing under George Bowen?
Oh, yes, many times. And Don Schuler and I sang a lot of duets.
Oh, really?
In fact, there's one song that is going to be sung at my funeral, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And that was the one that Don and I sang, probably more than one time that we sang. But we sang duets. I was much younger.
I would love to hear that. I wish
Yeah.
there was a recording.
Yeah, I wish we did too.
What has it meant to you to be part of Peace Church and all your involvement?
Oh, it's been, I think it's just part of my life. I just, it has been just part of my life. I just couldn't get along without it. Even when they started doing the same-sex marriage and that, sometime it took me a while to get used to that. And I know that other people were very upset. But I said, it's just part of it now. It's an acceptable thing. And I really like these people that are there. I miss it so much. The last time I was there was on Palm Sunday, I think it was.
I think a role that you have played that I've observed is being a welcomer. You were one of the first, we ended up sitting next to you when we started coming.
Yeah, I remember
I've seen
that.
you welcoming so many people.
And I'm still the same way. I'm still the same way here. I have to ask everybody their names, and I painted pictures. I was a painter, and Steve Cole, I brought some of mine down that hung in the hallway there, on the wall where the bathrooms were. In that, I don't know what they do now. I remember some of our members when I started. It was in the middle of the winter, when the lady that taught me, she's still living on Artavia Street, she had an open house. So it was Elrose and
Somebody else from Peace Church was in that
yes,
class. You took a class together, a painting class?
yes,
with
and we would go once a week, and we'd pay $5. And Mary's one son, Eric, he went. Peggy and George Maskey, which was a hoot. This guy, he was really good. There was one other woman and another older lady, and then there were lots of people that did watercolors. And I said, no. So I started right away with this oil painting. I just loved it. I'd spent, hours down in my little sewing room and painting for 2 hours until my fluorescent light would go blink, blink. I never did get that figured out. But I just enjoyed that so much. I really did. It was just fun. And that was many moons ago. If you look at the dates on any of these paintings, it's a long time ago.
Do you have some of your paintings?
Well, they're up all over, except this one. This one we bought this when we went to New Orleans, Wally and I.
Did you do this one?
I did all of the other ones that are here.
Lovely.
You're so
Wow,
talented.
I had no
and-
idea.
And I've got more in my bedroom and more in the TV room. I've given lots of them away. And Elsie Cook was the painter, or is. Wonderful, wonderful painter. Any other questions for me?
Can you think of one word to describe Peace Church?
Welcoming?
And you're part of that.
You are a big part of that, yeah.
And you were always so nice to my kids. So nice to my kids.
And your little girl that She was one that twisted her hair all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She still does.
tell me her name.
Lauren.
Lauren. Okay.
Yeah. She'll come home. She lives in Chicago. She'll drive home, and when she gets home, she'll have a big knot in her hair right here. I'll say, "Oh, you're twisting your hair on the way," and she said, "I guess I was." Still does it. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really comical. Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that you want to tell us about your life at Peace Church?
My life at Peace Church.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we would have picnics at Island Lake, choir picnics up there, and enjoyed our sauna, which I wish I had. I got one scrubby brush that, with a handle on it, that was from our sauna back. Wes did a lot on that cabin. He kind of rebuilt the roof, He was a handy dandy one.
We were remembering that he made our name tag racks
Yes.
at Peace Church.
Yeah. I think Harold started it.
And then Wes expanded it.
Yeah, expanded it, yeah. He was handy.
Oh, he was.
He built our double car garage on Artavia Street, and he might have he lived in Two Harbors. I think he built that house and his garage there, and then his son, Bill, helped him build his house out of Two Harbors.
I remember seeing things at the old craft fairs that used to have that he would make some wooden things.
Yeah, talking about wooden things, all these other ones are from my next door neighbor at Artavia Street. But look at that. It says Dave.
That's Dave.
Dave Cave.
Dave Cave. He made
And
such beautiful things.
he did. It was absolutely beautiful. And that's mountain ash. And I don't know if this was mountain ash from the cabin. Dave and,
Bev.
yes, and they drove from Moose Lake. They were wonderful people. I loved them.
They were.
Yeah.